What's poppin', y'all? Looks like the streaming wars have mellowed out. If you guys remember several years ago, everything that I said when Kick launched as a streaming platform happened. I said that they were gonna dump a bunch of money into creators, they were letting anything fly, and then they tightened their rules, they tightened their policies, that whole quote-unquote free speech thing went out the window, and now they even canceled all of those big lucrative deals that we were talking about because they onboarded so many people already, not just to the platform, but also to gambling, which is really where the profit and moneymaker is. Cue in Solluminati, who's one of the biggest creators as a whole on streaming, really paved the way for a lot of these newer guys, people like Blackboy Max. They grew up watching this individual, DDG, who we're familiar with as a rapper. He had back and forths with him. They were in the same niche. But Solluminati returned to streaming and he got banned on Twitch. The first time he got banned is because he used a word that wasn't favorable on Twitch to a certain group of people, and he didn't even mean it in a hating way, but he got clapped for a day. He comes back and then he's iffy about getting banned again. Well, what happens is he starts talking about Kick. So he talks about Twitch and how hey, I'm scared. I can't even be myself. I'm not being hateful or anything, but I don't want to get banned. So he reaches out to Adin Ross and says hey, are we able to work something out? So I'm going to play you guys that clip first.
Adin, Kick, y'all time has come. I just had 87 fucking thousand viewers. It's time for y'all to spoil it, man. Kick. I think we gotta bring the culture, the drama to Kick, y'all. I'm sorry. We might just have to bring the drama to Kick. What am I supposed to do now? I got banned twice in 1 month. The first time I got banned for just speaking positive about the LGBTQ community. I said, bro, they ain't never done nothing. I was speaking positive. The second time I just got banned, y'all all was in there. What did I do? That's different from anybody else. What did I do that's different from these niggas that be debating, that be talking about this, that be talking about that? What did I do for other people that's on here exposing shit? What did I do wrong? It was those 87K viewers. We growing too fast for them.
And this was after he had just gotten banned. The next time for when he was averaging well over 87,000 viewers. And this was an event. There was this other girl that had appeared in Kai Cenat streams before by the name of Zoe Spencer that had gone in on Solluminati. She threw some words his way and he said he was going to roast her. And Solluminati was largely known for his roasts of people. So people were anticipating that. But also he was doing a wager match. Wagers where people put up money. 1v1 in NBA 2K versus Flight Reacts. Flight Reacts and Solluminati, they've had their own back and forths. I wouldn't necessarily call it a genuine beef in the same way that it was with DDG, but he just called Flight trash all the time. What happens is people are really anticipating that, so many people show up. Nearly 90,000 people on Twitch, which is an insane number. Ridiculous for somebody that had just recently come back, just started streaming again after, I wouldn't say an extended break, but he has frequently taken extended breaks. And then he gets banned. So now he's talking to Kick or asking yo, Kick, I've got this poll right now. Let's work out a deal. Adin Ross, he talks to him. He's like, yo, I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to talk to the higher ups at Kick. People like Eddie, I think, is it the guy Bijan that's now also CEO of Kick in particular? Because I know Eddie's the owner, but he's also the CEO of Stake. Well, unfortunately for him, those deals stopped at least 18 months ago. People like Bruce Drop 'em Off, people like Your Rage, people like XQC, these guys, maybe even Amaranth, they got monstrous deals. Even Neon, I think. These people got deals allegedly in the tens of millions. Adin Ross also being one of those people that got a deal, and one of those people that offered his deal, or in the package deal, was him bringing his homies. Now, I think a lot of his homies got dropped, and they're not allowed to, or they're not getting paid just because they have to actually work and stream, because Kick introduced this kind of like a creator salary. So the more hours that a person streams, depending on the amount of viewership that they retain, they get paid a salary. So it's like clocking into a job. And if they're going to pay that, they can't pay that whilst also paying the ridiculous amount of money to sign a huge creator like Solluminati. So they're really not willing to compete anymore. And even the way they're looking at it now, they said, hey man, we're not going to be handing out these deals anymore. Look, you're gonna get banned on Twitch anyway, eventually. And those 80,000 plus, like you are a strong creator, but a lot of the people are native to the platforms that you were on. There's a reason why when Solluminati goes live on YouTube, for instance, he got less, and it's not an event. He would get maybe 10,000, which is a ridiculous amount. Let's not sneeze, or let's not cough, or whatever the hell the term is. It's escaping me right now. At 10,000 or 11,000, but it's not the same as Twitch, and it'll definitely be lower than both on Kick. So they're looking at like, hey, what's the value that we're really gonna get from here? We're offering you a salary. If you can bring a good viewership, you will get compensated for it. And Solluminati seemed like he didn't want to do that, so he responded to Kick. I'm gonna play you guys that clip right now.
All right, look, we had a lot of conversations with them. Bro, they're not trying to compete. They're not trying to do nothing right now, y'all. I'm being honest with y'all. If you somebody who was planning on doing anything with them, bro, if you somebody big, they're not trying to really do what they did in the past, like giving deals or nothing. They want people to come over there and like stream 100 hours or something. I don't know. They want niggas to stream 100 hours a month. That's not even possible for me. I got to do YouTube. I got other shit I got to do. And that's not organic at all to me, bro. So they want niggas who like got that 9 to 5 streaming vibe. Sometimes that shit feel draggy as hell. After a while, it's like, bro, it's time to end that. But all the streamers that's over there, no disrespect to none of them. I mean, they perfectly fine. But with Kick, they sold the fucking bag, y'all. They sold bad. The higher ups, the CEOs, they ain't offering nothing over there. They perfectly fine with what they have. The people that's already over there, Amaranth for all them, bro, they already paid. But everybody else, this is the reason why they haven't got nobody new in a long time. They don't offer shit. These other platforms, they was trying to get me to stop streaming on Twitch, period. And they wanted me to just stream with them. I'm not leaving Twitch, bruh. I just wanted to see somewhere like a backup plan just in case if I keep getting banned, I can still go live.
I will say I 100% understand where he's coming from here. Solluminati has been one of those people where it's always felt like when he was making content, it was because he wanted to do. He's like, I've got something to say. I'm excited, as opposed to, hey, I'm clocking in today. Although right now he's doing that, but he's not going to be somebody that drags a stream along. And a lot of people do that. Like, to be able to stream for 8, 6, 8, 10 hours a day, every single day, is very difficult. And some people say, well, you just sit there and, watch other stuff. That's the majority of what people do, because it's hard to have original, entertaining content for that many hours every single day. So they have to end up just reacting to stuff, listening to things, trying to come up with something. And many people are likely burnt out, but they just keep doing it because, the salary incentivizes you to. So Illuminati clearly said like, hey, I'm really not trying to do that. And to be fair to him, I understand that. Although I don't understand why he doesn't just stream on Kick anyway. Multi-stream. Like, plenty of people are multi-streaming now. I think Academics is multi-streaming onto Kick as well. There have been other people that have praised how much they're getting paid from the Kick creator program. Kick doesn't serve ads. I don't know if they have any ad deals yet. So really, they can't be shelling out a ton of money like they were in the beginning. That was the early stages, in the same way that Spotify was dropping bags on podcasters. Like, for example, in the beginning, they got the Call Her Daddy podcast girl. They got Emma Chamberlain. They got Joe Rogan. And they even got, even before that, I think they got the hip hop audience with the Joe Budden podcast. After they bought a ton of podcasts, even Academics, they're like, all right, buddy, we're done with these podcasts. And I'm talking about like when they're referencing everybody else. They said, hey, we got the people we needed on the platform. We got the subscribers that we needed, or the user base that we needed. We're not just going to keep handing out bags. And like, if people, what was the last podcast deal you heard of? There really aren't any, and there won't be any. And there was competition, like Amazon and these other platforms were competing because they wanted to grow their own subscriber share to get people into the podcasting audience. And keep in mind, remember when the streaming wars was going for Apple Music and Spotify, etc. Spotify wasn't really handing out wasn't really looking for exclusives like that. It was Apple Music paying for exclusives. It was Tidal trying to get exclusives, either via relationships that they had with certain artists. Like, for example, Free Wheezy album ended up releasing exclusively on Tidal, but it's because they needed to compete because they were, I wouldn't say late to the market, but Spotify had a foothold. They're like, hey, look, we've got all the listeners, we've got all the subscribers. You can put your stuff elsewhere, but you're going to put it on here eventually. And then the music industry was what came to an agreement that said, hey, look, we got to quit this exclusive stuff because we're losing out on money because we could have been getting paid from Spotify for the weeks that this album was out. In contrast, Apple Podcasts was the premier location for podcasts, the podcast app on the iPhone for since 15 years? So they weren't paying anybody that I can think of for any podcast networks. They were like, hey, look, you're here first. You're already here. We don't need an exclusive with you. You started off here. And they still have the biggest native podcast audience. And that's just because they were not only ahead of their time, but it's one of the biggest companies that was ahead of their time. It's like Spotify. Spotify was ahead in music. Apple had to catch up. Apple was ahead in podcasts. Spotify had to spend money to catch up. Twitch and Kick, mainly Twitch, was ahead in streaming. So Kick had to catch up and they had to drop some bags to catch up in the beginning. And they built their own kind of like community of creators. And they did have the advantage in that they're a little bit more lenient, or they were very, very lenient in the beginning to certain creators that wouldn't be able to survive on Twitch, whilst giving them the opportunity to make 90% from a subscription. But that 90% from a subscription doesn't really matter when how much of the percentage of subscribers are quote unquote free via Amazon Prime in the US. That's an overwhelming number. Many people aren't paying the $5. And Adin Ross talks about how certain creators took advantage of this, and that's the reason why they took advantage of these deals and got lazy after and not creating content on Kick. And that's why they had to stop this. And he even names a certain creator. So I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
There's one streamer, Solluminati would make this shit lit.
Here's the problem.
You need multiple
Here's the
streamers.
problem. They can't give these people these deals anymore because they take these deals, they get lazy.
That's true. So
and then they stop doing the content.
Who did that? Be honest.
I have nothing but love and respect from Bruce.
Yeah.
I love Bruce though, and I think he's an amazing streamer. But when he went to Kick, watching movies, doing streams with no face cam, I was there too. I was doing lazy streams too.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but you gotta actually try on Kick. You know what I mean?
So here he is with Neon, and he mentions Bruce drop him off. And if you think about it, there was a huge announcement behind Bruce. They were doing these big videos to bring on these streamers. And it felt like Bruce streamed barely anything he streamed for the first month. And then after that, nothing happened. There wasn't, I think they maybe expected him to take the money and reinvest it and do bigger streams. Like Neon, for instance, that's somebody that's constantly reinvesting into his content, constantly reinvesting into clippers, constantly trying to grow. And it works for him, although his profit margins are far thinner than other streamers. But I just don't think they took into consideration that Bruce Drop 'Em Off didn't come up like that. That Bruce Drop 'Em Off came up on, these are desktop streams. We're going to kick it. We're going to joke on each other. I'm going to give commentary. I might play a game here and there. Like, he grew up in what I would consider the prime of Twitch, where it still wasn't too big. It was very clicky, I will say that. And he was able to carve his own lane. So he saw everything that happened in streaming before Adin Ross even started. Bruce was streaming Bruce was probably streaming before Adin Ross even started making videos about basketball and stuff like that. Bruce was streaming 2017, 2018. I remember watching these streams. So unfortunately for Solluminati, that whole streaming era of big deals being handed out, you missed the boat on that. Same thing as the podcasting boat. There are not going to be these huge streaming deals anymore. Multi-streaming is a thing now. And the reason why you see the biggest streamers do it is because there's really no exclusivity anymore. People are going to watch where they want to watch. People are streaming on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, all of that. And you're really just going to have to grind it out to get the bag. And I think he understands that, but I think he's just trying to hold out and maybe thinks it's a negotiating tactic. And that's why he won't just add Kick to his repertoire, which will be just free viewers and free money anyway. But yeah, he should know that they're really not going to budge on this. I don't see it happening. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'm gonna see you on the next one.